Hey, how's it going today? I know I said I would be bringing forth poetry, but I have transposed some of my poetry into from writing into typewritten form. I was reading it over, and I just didn't really care for it too much. I mean, gotta like at least kind of like what you put out there. Well, most of the time. Anyhow, let's just say I do this to help somebody every day. If I that I put out a video, I'd like to do it every day, but face it, people get tired of you, so I don't try to bombard you all with these things. Anyway, here I'm going to read an excerpt of my book. It is called The Poinsettia Trick. Hopefully, one day it will be um, published. If you like what you hear, and even if you don't, say a prayer for me that this book will be published because I guarantee you there's nothing like it on the market. Uh, Betrayal. But anyway, here we go. It's a hurting feeling to be left in the dark, a place where advancement is nearly impossible. Fury runs rampant and things go wild. It is a sight to behold that is walking around without knowing or seeing as a result of factors that one does not and cannot control. It is blindness from lack of correction and not that of birth. And this is as negligent a factor to the ones responsible as the person relying on what say the wrong people. Darkness is a hell that some people are scared of coming upon, that which might stand in the way, stubbing one's toes, or causing one to halt and have to gain footing again. It is all right, yet and still, to rely heavily on what others tell us to do, especially when we are children. Even so, there are indiscriminate directions from others called grown-ups who may act worse than little children. It is remarkable as a child to remember to walk the most bogged down, the less bogged down, less obstacle ridden path. It is easy to say to oneself that your guide is the one you should follow and not just blind intuition. Life's power to choose is riddled by the right to do one thing, but then go and change your mind. However, you cannot change your circumstances. You are still in the dark and unable to see. Turning back is still not a good suggestion, as in life you never get to do 1 second over again, and the pain of it is those things done and said just can never be changed or overruled by making things disappear. Sometimes there are just a new set of circumstances. You bargain for nothing in life but happiness, and then you figure out, no matter how sheltered you are, that life is full of challenges and decisions, suggestions, input, and feedback, all which you wish you would never have to take into consideration, especially the latter. Truth be told, you have to own up to the derivation of problems from the decision to take input, suggestions, and feedback and come to a conclusion to do something you knew you would be sorry for. This is the first problem in this book, and it plays out in my life in the work of in this work of autobiographical fiction. What needs to be understood is that some people are good at verbalizing and getting their needs met expeditiously. I really never acquired that skill, and to this day have problems not asking the right questions. Why I waited so long to unveil the dragon, I don't know. I tend towards pensiveness, and then I have a better way of digging things up with a sense of what looks like panache. People think it is my nature to hold one up my sleeve. I, however, just know that I am my own best friend. I alone hold the key to my undoing because I trust no one. It is the nature of how I have learned to survive. But I realize that the universe is what you put into it. The world is not sealed with how my fate will be because I put uncertainty out into the world. Unfortunately, people in my life reflect the same back to me. I am not as forthcoming and vivacious toward others as I expect them to be with me. They don't do things the way I would deem because I am confusing. To Donna should have never factored in. It is something that I realized and she should never have been considered for consideration. I should never have jeopardized my happiness for her, but in my eyes, she probably would have died. I shouldn't have taken her into account. As I said, I afforded her a courtesy that I know she would never have extended to me had the circumstances been inverted. Maybe not on purpose, but my mother sold me out to the dogs. She didn't readily admit to what she had done, betraying me as a mother with her words. She without she withheld she without detailed information just assumed I was barking up the wrong tree. I asked my mother at the time I introduced the JB problem if she thought I was pretty. I must admit that may have thrown her off of the real issue. I think my mother sensed my insecurities. Having insecurities is never good when trying to enter a relationship with a man. Because of that, I never should have had a relationship until 32 or 33. We do, however, learn from our mistakes. They have left our souls battered They may have left our souls battered and make the hurts that much harder to heal. Putting a band aid on an already festering problem never helps anyone. For a long time, I lived with the fact that I really was magnetized and very attracted to El Diablo, let's call him JB. It's too subtle. He was the devil. A man like that needs to be flattered, though he always got flattered, I am sure. However, reserving judgment enough to know that you don't really want to be another trick is invaluable. There was nothing much about me at 15 except insecurity. Not at 17 when the issues came up again, not at 20 when they came up, not at 22 when they came up again, not at 25 when they came up, not at 29 when they came up, and not again at 32. After that, I grew up and opened myself to more possibilities and began to not live in the confinement of things turning out my way. I realized I had shed my skin. I realized that the Scorpio I am. I spread my wings like a phoenix who had flown into the fire. I came out of the fire a different bird, no matter how little the circumstances had changed. I thought more about how I had let myself down, others down, and even manipulated to begin to know better who I could trust. I guarantee you that was very few people. Very few. I leaned into trust with some of them, but before I got in that cut, I leaned back and realized the way things looked. They were raising a hand and would have ganged me if I was stupid enough to tell all my secrets. I realized early in the game that giving JB more information than he actually deserved about how I felt was a mistake while getting nothing back. Thus, I realized that I could only undermine every good thing I said with something nonchalantly dropped as a bad thing or a backhanded comment, especially in my letters. I know that deceiving others made me deceive myself. This, however, was the nature of things. I lied about the engagement. He committed lies of omission. He had conveniently left out the child. Only how proud could he be? When something is wrong, however a woman knows, I knew something happened. That was why I was hurt. He never told me important things, and then he tried to control things. I had, though, stepped up my deceptions. I really don't think people would believe that I didn't realize the things that happened and head them off at the pass. The thought must have been that I saved up rage about lies that I knew weren't true and then applied to strike while the iron was hot. Sometimes I don't know myself. My unconscious thoughts can be buried so far inside that I don't even know what my brain is working out. Well, that's actually part of the ending of my book, but I think that it's important to talk about those things um, to get to the issues of the book, the general issues, and then get into the meat and potatoes. But if you stay tuned long enough, you'll get the grasp of exactly what I'm talking about what happened to me that you never want to happen to you, or anybody in your family, what you don't want to do to your children that my parents did to me, or just things to avoid. Anyway, um, I hope you enjoyed the excerpt from my book, and I'll build the story. I'm not sure if I'll read every word for word of the book, but I think it'd be more interesting than those poems for now. Anyway, you take care, lovelies, and have a lovely day.